had just been discharged from surgery for a collapsed lung when my boyfriend took me to a childhood friend's birthday party. At the party, he yanked off my ventilator and used it to inflate party balloons. My chest seized violently, as if my lung had been torn open. Justin Miller turned to Sophie Shaw proudly and said, "See? This is so much easier than blowing them up with your mouth." I gripped the doorframe. I was gasping as my vision blurred. "Justin, I need that to survive. I can't breathe." His expression darkened. "Sophie was kind enough to invite you to her birthday party. Know your place. Besides, she put in a lot of effort for this day and spent hours preparing for it. Are you really going to ruin the celebration?" I struggled to speak through the pain. Is her surprise more important than my life? I extended a trembling hand toward the ventilator, but Justin waved it aside. He said impatiently, "I already checked. You won't die from holding your breath for just a moment. Don't be so selfish." At that moment, pain stabbed me in the chest, and I used every ounce of my strength to press the emergency call button my brother had given me. Chapter 1. Alex, my ventilator. My phone was ripped out of my hand before I finished my sentence. Justin Miller glanced at the screen and ended the call without hesitation. "Are you snitching? Sally, how old are you? Do you run to your family over every tiny problem?" He frowned. He mocked me with every word. "Sophie invited you because she was worried that you'd feel lonely after being discharged. She invited you to her birthday party out of kindness. You're so ungrateful. Everyone's trying to enjoy the night, and you insist on pretending to be sick to ruin the mood. Are you doing this on purpose?" I sagged against the doorframe. My chest felt hollowed out as a wave of darkness closed in from the edge of my vision. "Give me my ventilator back." Justin's disgust deepened. "Pretending again? You actually committed to the act, huh? Who are you putting an act for? It was just a pneumothorax surgery. You act like you're dying after just walking a few steps. Is this really necessary?" A cruel smile curled at the corner of his mouth. Then, he grabbed a jar of colorful plastic glitter from the table and dumped it into my ventilator, right in front of everyone. "All right. Since you're struggling so much to breathe, I'll add some special medicine." The device kicked on with a burst of airflow. A blast of colorful glitter exploded across the room and shot straight toward me. I turned away desperately and raised my arms to shield my face, but the tiny pieces of glitter still forced their way into my nose and throat like gnats. Within seconds, a searing pain exploded deep in my throat, and the taste of blood rose in my mouth. I coughed violently. I doubled over and coughed so hard that my ribs felt as if they would crack. However, Justin did not even spare me a glance. He pulled Sophie close in smug satisfaction. "Happy birthday, Sophie. I didn't manage to blow 99 balloons for you, but I can give you a shower of flowers." Sophie gently nudged him with a playful pout. "Justin, you're ridiculous. Look, you made Sally choke." Their friends burst into laughter at how pathetic I looked. "Whoa, Justin, you're wild. This is way more romantic than balloons. Sophie's so lucky. She's coughing so hard. Honestly, it doesn't seem like she can't breathe." "Exactly. She needs better acting skills if she wants sympathy. Justin shouldn't entertain her. All she did was try to ruin Sophie's birthday." My vision flickered as I clung to the wall. "Justin, I'm asking you for the last time. Give me my ventilator." "You're being dramatic." He rolled his eyes in annoyance. "It's just a ventilator. You act like the world is ending. I'll buy you a new one, okay?" His indifference filled my heart with disappointment. If I hadn't saved you that night, I wouldn't even need this. 3 months ago, he had been cornered in an alley by men collecting his gambling debt. I ran in and shielded him when they swung the knife at him. The blade pierced my lung and caused a severe pneumothorax. Justin's dismissive expression twisted into anger. "You're crazy," he said loudly. "Who asked you to jump in? Why couldn't I see before that you always have to play the hero? You keep talking about that stupid incident because you want to guilt-trip me. You're disgusting." The look on his face screamed, "You deserved it." I realized how foolish I had been. "Fine. Very well. Justin, Sophie, and all of you who are just standing there and watching this." I scanned their mocking faces. "You'd better pray I survive tonight. If anything happens to me, none of you will walk away from this." I wiped the blood from the corner of my mouth and said coldly, "Alex Lawson is my brother. He's the CEO of the Lawson Group. If something happens to me tonight, he won't spare any of you." My words were followed by an even louder burst of laughter. "Ah, did she say the Lawson Group? Has she lost her mind? You mean the Alex Lawson? The man nobody dares to cross? He's your brother? Girl, look at yourself. You think you're related to him?" A girl who was wearing heavy smoky eye makeup pointed at me. She was laughing so hard that she doubled over. "Do you want to attend the Lawson Group meetings too? Please. They wouldn't even let you clean their toilets." Sophie covered her mouth in mock concern. "Sally, don't say things like that out of the blue. Pretending to be a CEO's sister will not save you. I heard Mr. Lawson is a merciless man, and he hates it when people use his name." If he finds out someone pretended to be his sister? A guy standing next to her cut in eagerly. It'll be worse than a simple expulsion. We should teach this wannabe a lesson on behalf of Mr. Lawson. I could not spare another second on these lunatics. My asphyxiation worsened, and my fingers started to tingle. I ran my hand along the wall to search for the emergency call button in the room. Just as I was about to press on it, Justin slapped my hand away. Are you done? He glared at me in irritation. You're so jealous that you want to waste public resources? These resources are for people who actually need them. Do you really have to embarrass yourself like this? Chapter 2. Sally, didn't you say you couldn't breathe? Sophie's voice drifted in from the side. She walked toward me with a birthday cake covered in lit candles. My grandma said blowing out candles is good for your lungs. It's good for your health. Can you blow out these 20 candles in one breath? Just think of it as a birthday present for me, okay? Maybe it'll even help you get better. She blinked with an innocent face. I just want to help you recover. You're not petty enough to refuse such a small request, are you? What an absurd idea. But her friends around her began to cheer immediately. Blow them out. Blow them out. Blow them out. Yes, Sally, blow them out for Sophie. In one breath. It has to be in one breath. Justin's eyes lit up as if he had found a new game to play. He grinned as he pulled me away from the wall and pushed me down in front of the cake. Did you hear that? Sophie's doing this for your own good. Are you still going to be difficult? Know your place. As he spoke, he pulled out his phone, opened a livestream app, and pointed the camera at me. Good evening, everyone. My girlfriend hasn't been feeling well lately and insists that she can't breathe. But our kind Sophie's here to help with some candle-blowing therapy. If you enjoy this, like this video, and subscribe to Sophie's channel. Hundreds of curious viewers flooded into the live stream, and the comments rolled across the screen. Wow, the streamer is wild. Blowing candles as treatment? That's a first. Sounds interesting. That girl looks so pale. Is she really sick? You're naive. This is scripted. Look at her eyes. She acts pretty well. I shook my head desperately. My throat rasped as I tried to pull away, but Justin held the back of my neck and forced my face closer to the flames. Heat scorched my skin and singed strands of my hair. The smell of burning filled the air. On the edge of suffocation, I touched the watch on my wrist. It was the custom-made watch Alex had given me. Pressing the side button 3 times would trigger the highest level emergency alert and send my location with a live recording. I gathered every bit of my strength and pressed it. 1 press, 2 presses, then a third. I looked at the face I once loved deeply through the flickering flames. Justin, I'm breaking up with you. Chapter 3. Me breaking up with him did not make Justin pause for even a second. Instead, he treated it as a joke in his live stream. Ha ha ha. Did everyone hear that? She's threatening to break up with me. My God. She's acting like she's the lead in some romance drama. The comment section exploded. This is hilarious. Is she the tragic heroine from some melodrama? A breakup? Blow out the candles first. Hold her down. Don't let her run. I want to see the ending. The comments seemed to fuel him even further. He grabbed my hair and yanked me closer to the cake. Blow them out. Sally, blow them out right now. We have the highest number of viewers we've ever had. Blow out these candles first, keep our viewers happy, and then we can talk about breaking up. Just then, Sophie walked over with a laugh. All right, Justin. Don't force her. If she doesn't like it, we'll stop. Let's cut the cake first. She walked around me, but she suddenly stumbled on something and let out a dramatic scream. She fell directly onto me. I lost my balance and toppled forward. I could not react in time, and my face slammed into the fluffy cream cake. Sizzle. A burning pain flared across my forehead. A lit candle was pressed against my skin. Even worse, the thick cream blocked my nose and mouth and sealed off what little air I had left. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Sally. It was an accident. Sophie scrambled up from the floor with tears streaming down her face, as if she was terrified. I only wanted to help you. Please don't be mad at me. Justin, on the other hand, pushed the phone closer to my face and shouted excitedly at the stream. Wow. Guys, this is unexpected. An epic plot twist. Look at how real my girlfriend's expression is. The pain, the struggle. This is peak entertainment. Exclusive clown makeup. Come on, everyone. Send some donations. Let's get those donations going. I was on the floor, choking on cake and cream. The suffocating pain in my lungs, mixed with the blockage in my nose and mouth, made me sputter. My vision went dark. My consciousness wavered. Justin reached out, scraped a large handful of cream from my face, and smeared it on my hospital gown with a laugh. Look, with this outfit and this makeup, doesn't she look like she's indeed been through something? Incredible. Come on. To thank our top supporter for the biggest donation, let me show you all her signature cream pull trick. He scraped my face again, and a long string of cream stretched out. He snickered triumphantly. Just when Justin's livestream reached an unprecedented peak of popularity, bang! The private room door crashed open with overwhelming force. The heavy, solid wood door fell to the floor and scattered dust as screams filled the room. Against the backlight, a man strode in with 2 tall bodyguards in black behind him. He scanned the chaotic scene before him, and his gaze finally landed on me. His gaze, usually gentle, was dark with malice. Who removed my sister's ventilator? Chapter 4. The Arrival of a God. The silence in the room was absolute, deafening and heavy. The laughter that had filled the air just seconds ago died in the throats of everyone present. Justin's phone was still in his hand, the live stream capturing his dumbfounded expression. He blinked, clearly struggling to process the sight of the towering man standing in the doorway. Alex Lawson didn't look like the kind of man who belonged in a cheap, rented party room. He was dressed in a bespoke charcoal suit, his presence commanding and terrifying. The cold fury in his eyes made the temperature in the room plummet. "Hey buddy," Justin stammered, his bravado entirely artificial. He took a step forward. "Who the hell do you think you are, breaking the door? Do you know how much?" He didn't get to finish. One of the bodyguards moved with terrifying speed. A single, brutal kick to Justin's chest sent him flying backward. He crashed into the table, shattering glass and sending the remains of the birthday cake splattering across the walls. Justin crumpled to the floor, gasping for air, clutching his ribs. "Justin!" Sophie shrieked, her fake tears vanishing instantly. She glared at the men. "Are you crazy? I'm calling the cops. You can't just barge in here and assault people." Alex ignored her. He didn't even look at her. His gaze remained fixed on me. Through the blur of my fading consciousness, I saw my brother, the untouchable, ruthless CEO of the Lawson Group, drop to his knees on the sticky, dirty floor. He didn't care about his $1,000 suit. His trembling hands reached out, carefully scraping the thick layer of cream from my nose and mouth. "Sally," his voice broke. The icy demeanor he wore for the world fractured, revealing sheer panic. "Sally, look at me. Breathe, sweetheart. Breathe." He pulled a sterile handkerchief from his pocket and frantically, but gently wiped the remaining icing and the stinging wax of the candle from my forehead. "Medics! Now!" Alex roared over his shoulder. A team of paramedics, who had followed him up the stairs, flooded into the room. They pushed past the terrified partygoers, shoving them out of the way like garbage. One paramedic immediately placed a high-flow oxygen mask over my face, while another began checking my vitals. "Heart rate is plummeting. O2 saturation is at 60% and dropping. We need to intubate and move her now," the lead paramedic shouted. As the oxygen flowed into my lungs, the agonizing, tearing pain eased just enough for me to open my eyes. I looked at Alex. His face was pale, his jaw clenched so tight a muscle ticked in his cheek. "Alex," I whispered weakly, my voice muffled by the mask. "I'm here," he said softly, gripping my cold hand. "I've got you. Nobody is going to hurt you ever again." As they lifted me onto the stretcher, Sophie, who had finally connected the dots, took a trembling step forward. The color drained completely from her face. "Wait," she stammered, looking at Alex. You're Alex Lawson?" Sally wasn't lying. Alex slowly stood up. The vulnerability he had shown me vanished, replaced by a dark, murderous aura. He turned to face the room. His eyes swept over the paralyzed crowd, lingering on the glitter-filled ventilator on the table, and finally landing on Justin, who was groaning on the floor. "Seal the doors," Alex ordered his bodyguards. His voice was calm, but it carried the promise of a massacre. "No one leaves this room. Confiscate all their phones." "You can't do this," the girl with the smoky eye makeup cried out, retreating against the wall. "This is illegal. We have rights." Alex slowly approached her. She shrank back, trembling like a leaf. "Rights?" Alex tilted his head, his eyes dead. "My sister was suffocating on the floor while you laughed. You surrendered your rights the moment you watched her die for entertainment." He turned to his lead bodyguard. "Call the police. Tell the commissioner I want them arrested for attempted murder. And get our legal team on the line. I want every single person in this room ruined by morning." As the stretcher was wheeled out the door, the last thing I saw was Justin, his face pale with sheer terror, finally realizing that he hadn't just bullied his girlfriend. He had tried to kill a Lawson. Chapter 5. The ICU. I woke up to the rhythmic, sterile beeping of a heart monitor. The harsh smell of antiseptic stung my nose. I tried to move, but a dull ache radiated through my chest. A tube fed pure oxygen into my nostrils. "Don't move, Sally." I turned my head. Alex was sitting in a chair beside the bed. He looked exhausted. His tie was gone, the top buttons of his shirt undone, and a faint shadow of stubble lined his jaw. He had been crying. "How long was I out?" My voice was a raspy whisper. 2 days, he replied, gently pouring a glass of warm water and holding a straw to my lips. "You went into respiratory arrest in the ambulance. Your lung partially collapsed again because of the violent coughing. They had to perform an emergency chest tube insertion." The memory of the party rushed back. The glitter. The cake. The suffocating heat of the candles. Justin's cruel laughter. Tears welled in my eyes, sliding down my cheeks. Alex set the glass down and gently wiped my tears away. His touch was incredibly tender. It's over, Sally. I promise you it's over. I should never have let you keep your identity a secret. I should never have let you stay with that scumbag. I was stupid, I whispered, the crushing weight of my foolishness pressing down on me. I thought he loved me. I thought saving him meant something. Alex's eyes darkened, a flash of pure malice crossing his features. He doesn't know the meaning of the word, but he is going to learn the meaning of consequence. Where is he? In jail, Alex said flatly. Bail was denied. Sophie Shaw is there with him, along with 4 of their loudest friends. I looked at the ceiling, feeling a strange sense of numbness. For 3 years I had hidden my wealth. I wanted someone to love me for me, not for the Lawson empire. Justin had played the part of the struggling but devoted boyfriend perfectly, until he didn't. Until the mask slipped. Alex, I said softly, my voice firming up. I don't want to hide anymore. I don't want to be the weak, sickly girlfriend. I want them to pay. For everything. Alex smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. It was the smile of a predator that had just been unleashed. I was waiting for you to say that. Rest now, little sister. When you walk out of this hospital, the world they know will no longer exist. Chapter 6. The Fall of Justin Miller. Justin sat in the interrogation room, his hands cuffed to the metal table. He had been there for 48 hours. No sleep. Barely any water. The door opened, and Detective Vance walked in, tossing a thick file onto the table. All right, Miller. Let's go through this again. I already told you. Justin snapped, his voice cracking with desperation. It was a joke. A prank. She's my girlfriend. She's dramatic. I didn't know she was actually dying. Vance raised an eyebrow, opening the file. He pulled out an evidence bag containing the ventilator. It was completely clogged with multicolored plastic glitter. A prank, Vance repeated dryly. You dumped a non-soluble, abrasive material into a Class 2 medical respiratory device. We had forensics look at it. If she had inhaled a single ounce more of this, it would have shredded her bronchial tubes. That's not a prank, Miller. That's aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. I didn't know. Justin yelled, pulling at his cuffs. I'm not a doctor. Sophie is the one who bought the glitter. Blame her. Vance leaned back. Ah yes, Miss Shaw. She's in the next room over. Funny thing is, she says you forced the girl's head into the cake. We actually pulled the live stream footage you so graciously broadcasted to the internet. Justin's face turned gray. The live stream? Yeah, millions of people saw it, Vance said casually. You really messed up, kid. Do you have any idea whose sister you nearly killed? She lied to me, Justin whispered frantically. She wore cheap clothes. She took the bus. How was I supposed to know she was a Lawson? Would it have mattered? A chilling voice echoed from the doorway. Justin's blood ran cold. Alex Lawson stepped into the interrogation room. The detective immediately stood up, nodded respectfully, and exited the room, closing the door behind him. Justin shrank back in his chair. The memory of Alex's bodyguard kicking him across the room flared in his bruised ribs. Mr. Lawson. Alex. Please, you have to understand, Justin babbled, tears streaming down his face. I loved Sally. I really did. I was just stressed. The gambling debts, the pressure, it made me act out of character. Alex walked slowly toward the table, pulling a sleek tablet from his jacket. He placed it in front of Justin and tapped the screen. An audio recording began to play. That dumb bitch thinks I actually care about her pneumothorax. It's annoying as hell. Once my debts are clear, I'm dumping her. Sophie's dad is offering me a management position anyway. It was Justin's voice. A voice note he had sent to one of his friends 2 weeks ago. Justin stopped breathing. You see, Justin, Alex spoke softly, his tone laced with venom. My team seized all of your friends' phones. They were remarkably eager to hand over your text messages once they realized they were facing accessory to attempted murder charges. Please, Justin sobbed. You mentioned your gambling debts, Alex continued, ignoring his tears. $3 million owed to the Red Viper Syndicate. The same debt my sister took a knife to the lung to protect you from. Alex leaned down, until his face was inches from Justin's. I bought your debt, Justin. Justin's eyes widened in sheer horror. The police will hold you here for the assault. Your trial will take months. But I've ensured your public defender is remarkably incompetent. When you are convicted, and you will be, you're going to a maximum security prison. Alex straightened his tie. And in that prison, there are men who work for the Red Viper Syndicate. Men who know that you owe me $3 million. They will be collecting the interest on my behalf. Every single day. Justin let out a guttural scream, thrashing against the handcuffs. No, you can't do this. It's illegal. I'll go to the press. The press? Alex chuckled darkly. Who do you think owns the media, Justin? Right now, the only thing the press is reporting is how a gold-digging, abusive parasite manipulated a wealthy heiress, tried to murder her for clout, and exposed himself on a live broadcast. You are the most hated man in America. Alex turned and walked to the door. Enjoy the rest of your life, Justin. It's going to be very long, and very painful. Chapter 7. The Destruction of Sophie Shaw. Sophie Shaw paced the small holding cell, chewing her perfectly manicured nails down to the quick. Her designer dress was wrinkled, stained with dried cake and dirt. When the guard unlocked the door, she rushed forward. Finally. My father's lawyer is here, right? Tell him to hurry up, this place smells like urine. The guard didn't say a word. He stepped aside, allowing a woman in a sharp business suit to enter. Are you the lawyer? Sophie demanded. I am a lawyer, the woman said coldly. But not yours. I represent the Shaw Group. I've come to deliver a message from your father. Sophie frowned. My dad? Why didn't he come himself? Because he is currently being interrogated by the IRS and the SEC, the lawyer said flatly. Sophie froze. What? 2 hours ago, the Lawson Group launched a hostile takeover of the Shaw Group's main suppliers. Simultaneously, an anonymous whistleblower dumped 3 gigabytes of your father's offshore tax evasion records to the federal government. The Shaw Group stock has plummeted by 80%. Your family is bankrupt, Miss Shaw. Your accounts have been frozen. No, that's impossible, Sophie whispered, stumbling back until she hit the cold concrete wall. Over a joke. Over Sally. Furthermore, the lawyer opened her briefcase and pulled out a stack of papers, tossing them onto the metal cot. Your influencer agency has terminated your contract. The brands you sponsored are suing you for breach of morality clauses. The video of you pushing Sally Lawson's face into the lit candles has been viewed 60 million times. The public is calling for your head. Sophie fell to her knees, grasping the bars of the cell. I didn't mean it. I swear. Justin pushed her. I just fell. It was an accident. The lawyer looked down at her with pure disgust. We have the security footage from the private room, Miss Shaw. We saw you deliberately step forward, hook your foot behind her ankle, and shove her. The lawyer turned to leave. Wait. You can't leave me here. Sophie screamed, tears ruining her leftover makeup. I'm Sophie Shaw. I'm a victim. Justin manipulated me. Let me talk to Sally. She's my childhood friend. She's too soft, she'll forgive me. Let me call her. Miss Lawson is no longer taking calls from trash, the lawyer said, not even glancing back as the cell door slammed shut. Outside the precinct, the remaining party guests were faring no better. The girl with the heavy smoky eye makeup, who had laughed about me cleaning toilets, was escorted out of her university by campus security, her expulsion papers finalized before she even made bail. The boy who had offered to teach me a lesson, on behalf of the Lawson Group, was blacklisted from every major tech firm in the country. They had thought they were tormenting a nobody. They didn't realize they had kicked a sleeping dragon. Chapter 8. Rebirth. 6 months later. The morning sun filtered through the floor-to-ceiling windows of my penthouse. I stood in front of the full-length mirror, adjusting the cuffs of my tailored white blazer. My hair, previously dull and unkempt from months of depression and hospital stays, was styled into a sleek, elegant cut. I looked healthy. I looked powerful. You look beautiful, Alex's voice came from the doorway. He was leaning against the frame, holding 2 cups of coffee. I look like a Lawson, I corrected him with a slight smile, taking a cup. Are you ready for today? He asked, his protective gaze searching my face. You don't have to testify. The evidence we have is overwhelming. They're dead to rights. I need to, I said firmly. I need to look them in the eye. I need them to see that they didn't break me. The courthouse was a madhouse. Paparazzi crowded the barricades, screaming my name as Alex, and I stepped out of the black Maybach, flanked by a dozen security guards. I ignored the flashing cameras, my posture perfect, my expression unreadable. I wasn't the trembling, sickly girl who had begged for her ventilator anymore. Inside the courtroom, the atmosphere was suffocatingly tense. When I took the stand, the entire room fell silent. My eyes drifted to the defendant's table. Justin and Sophie were seated there, wearing bright orange jumpsuits. The transformation was shocking. Justin looked aged by 10 years. He was emaciated, his eyes sunken and twitching with paranoia. The interest the Red Viper Syndicate had been collecting in pretrial detention had clearly taken its toll. He had a jagged scar across his cheek, and he couldn't stop trembling. Sophie looked entirely hollowed out. Her once lustrous hair was brittle and greasy, her arrogant posture replaced by a defeated slump. Miss Lawson, the prosecutor began gently. Can you tell the court what happened on the night of March 9th? I spoke clearly, my voice ringing through the silent room. I recounted every detail. The removal of the ventilator, the glitter, the mocking laughter, the cake, the suffocating pain. I didn't cry. I spoke with the clinical detachment of someone dissecting a corpse. Justin's defense attorney tried to cross-examine me, attempting to paint me as a deceitful girlfriend who had hidden her wealth, claiming Justin was acting out of emotional betrayal. Objection, the prosecutor snapped. Relevance. I'll allow the witness to answer, the judge said. I leaned into the microphone, locking eyes with Justin. I hid my wealth because I wanted to be loved for my heart, not my bank account, I said coldly. And what I found was a man whose heart was so rotten, he used my near-death experience for internet likes. I saved his life in an alleyway, taking a knife to the lung. He repaid me by trying to destroy that same lung for a laugh. Justin broke. He slammed his hands onto the table, sobbing hysterically. Sally, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was stupid. I was arrogant. Please tell them. Tell them about the good times. Remember when we first met? I loved you. I still love you. The judge banged his gavel. Order. Control your client, counselor. I looked at Justin, feeling absolutely nothing. No anger, no sadness, just the vague disgust one feels when looking at an insect on the sole of their shoe. I repaid whatever debt I owed to this world with my blood, I said quietly, though the microphone picked it up perfectly. We owe each other nothing. But you owe the law. Chapter 9. The verdict. The jury deliberated for less than 2 hours. When the foreman stood up to read the verdict, the tension in the room snapped. On the charge of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, we find the defendant, Justin Miller, guilty. On the charge of attempted manslaughter, we find the defendant, Justin Miller, guilty. On the charge of reckless endangerment and accessory to assault, we find the defendant, Sophie Shaw, guilty. Sophie let out a piercing wail, collapsing against her attorney. No. I'm too pretty for prison. Daddy, help me. But her father wasn't there. He was in federal custody awaiting his own trial for fraud. The judge, looking down at them with supreme disdain, didn't hesitate. Justin Miller, your actions display a psychopathic disregard for human life. You weaponized a medical device and tortured a helpless victim for public entertainment. I sentence you to 20 years in federal prison, without the possibility of parole. Justin's legs gave out. 2 bailiffs had to drag him upright as he hyperventilated, his eyes rolling back in his head. Sophie Shaw, the judge continued. You orchestrated a scenario of cruelty and actively participated in the torment of the victim. I sentence you to 10 years in federal prison. As they were handcuffed and dragged toward the holding doors, Justin twisted around, screaming my name. Sally. Sally, please. I'll die in there. They'll kill me. Sally. His pathetic screams faded down the corridor, cut off by the heavy slam of a steel door. Silence returned to the courtroom. Alex reached over and gently took my hand. It's over. I nodded, a deep, cleansing breath filling my healthy lungs. Yes, it is. Chapter 10. The Horizon. 1 year later, the gala for the Lawson Foundation's new medical wing was in full swing. The grand ballroom of the Lawson Hotel was filled with the city's elite, the glittering chandeliers reflecting off crystal champagne glasses. I stood on the balcony, letting the cool evening breeze brush against my face. I took a deep breath. The air was crisp, clean, and completely painless. You're hiding from the donors, a voice teased. I turned to see Alex walking out onto the balcony, holding 2 flutes of sparkling cider. I'm not hiding. I smiled, taking a glass. I'm just taking a moment. The air feels good tonight. Alex leaned against the railing beside me, looking out over the city skyline. The new respiratory ward opens next week. The chief of medicine said the new ventilators you funded are going to save thousands of lives. Good, I said softly. Turn a nightmare into a miracle. Any regrets? Alex asked quietly, looking at me. I knew what he was asking. In the past year, the remnants of my old life had completely vanished. The people from that party had faded into obscurity, working dead-end jobs, crippled by legal fees and blacklists. Justin was serving his time, and according to the wardens, he was deeply unpopular among the inmates who had ties to the Red Viper Syndicate. He spent his days in the infirmary, terrified of his own shadow. Sophie was scrubbing cafeteria floors in a women's penitentiary, her youth and arrogance wasting away behind concrete walls. None, I answered truthfully. I took a sip of the cider, feeling the effervescence dance on my tongue. I had shed my naivety, my weakness, and my false identity. I had learned the hard way that you cannot save people who are determined to drag you down with them. But I had survived. Come on, Alex smiled, offering his arm. They're about to cut the ribbon. The CEO needs to be present. I hooked my arm through his, standing tall. Let's go. We walked back into the light, leaving the darkness, the shadows, and the ghosts of the past exactly where they belonged, far behind me.